My name is Jaslyn and this is my YouTube channel. Today we'll be talking about what a fashion buyer is and what skills you need to become one. So first of all, what is a fashion buyer? I personally had no idea this job even existed until like a year and a half ago when I finally set in, fashion industry, and I did a little bit of research and fashion buyer. Okay, never heard of that before. But pretty much what a fashion buyer is, they're the person that is responsible for deciding the products that are sold in store. They also discuss with the brands that they work with to figure out what kind of products they want to sell. They then make the purchasing decisions while considering things like trend forecasting and customer buying patterns. The decisions they make can determine the revenue of the company, so there's a lot riding on them. They also do other things like set retail prices for the products, create sales strategies, keeping up with trends, obviously, and also building relationships, especially with suppliers and potential suppliers. To be a fashion buyer, you're gonna need a pretty wide set of skills. I've listed off a few that I found to be really important. First one is trend forecasting, basically being able to keep up with trends, but also kind of predict trends. And even though it might seem like how could you possibly predict what's going to be popular, trends recycle. Style, fashion recycles. Things come back, they leave, they come back again. So it's not as impossible as it might seem. Decision-making abilities. This is a big one because it's like the backbone of being a fashion buyer is deciding what products to put out, who to work with, prices to set. There is a lot of decision making that goes into this job, and it's very important to have strong decision making abilities that you're confident in within this job. Negotiating. So every day of being a fashion buyer can look a little different, but they do require a lot of meetings, whether that's meeting with the brand you're working with or meeting with suppliers or with just a lot of meetings. So it's really important to have good negotiation skills to be able to figure out when you're talking with the brand, to figure out what kind of image they want and what kind of things they want to sell, while also considering what's trending and what customers want and what they want to see from that brand. They also need to negotiate with suppliers, make sure that their company is getting the best deal, make sure the quality and everything is up to par, things of that nature. Interpersonal skills / relationship building. So interpersonal skills is like its own little genre of skills, like communication, teamwork, things like that. But relationship building is very important because, again, when you're working with brands and suppliers, it's great to have friends in all of these places because then you can be the first to see a new product, or you can just get good deals, things like that. It's very important to be able to communicate with people around you, especially since there's a lot of teamwork that goes into this job some of the time. You need to be able to keep up with your team and make sure that everything is going as planned. Next is marketing. Knowing how to promote your product, especially since the buyer is the one deciding ultimately what the product they'll be selling is. They're deciding the product, so they need to know how to appeal to the customers with the product, how to get people to buy it, just to keep people's eyes peeled, because ultimately if it fails, yeah, that's on you and you really don't want that on your shoulders. So analytic abilities. I feel like this might be one of the most important ones because it kind of goes hand in hand with every other skill. You need to know how to look ahead and how to just kind of piece things together. You need to be able to make decisions, on what to buy, but you need to have all of the information to be able to make those decisions. You need to look at things like the quality of a product, the price, and the profitability of the product. All things, you need to consider. Organization is key. Fashion buyers have a lot on their plates. They deal with so many things, constant meetings, weighing different products, seeing which one will work in this market, which will work here. They're constantly coming up with new things. Organization is very important. If you don't have that, you will just probably lose your mind and maybe even your job if you can't keep it organized. Mathematics. Personally, I love math. Math, something about it, me and math, we work together, we work well. But you need to know how to do calculations and how to compare prices from multiple suppliers just to make sure that your brand and your company is always getting the best deal. Now, to become a fashion buyer, you need a high school diploma and a bachelor's degree. You can get your bachelor's degree in marketing, merchandising, fashion design, or business administration. I'm sure there are other ones too, but these are the ones that I kind of consistently saw throughout my research. You also need to get a feel for the fashion industry and start getting some experience. You don't want to wait too long to start gaining experience. It's never too early to start. You can literally, in any way, it is never too early to start. Whether it's, doing an internship, joining organizations that will give you networking opportunities, like APS, the American Purchasing Society. Having jobs like being a retail salesperson or a purchasing clerk are also very helpful starting points. And also, to even become a buyer or like a senior buyer, you need to be an assistant buyer. You can't just kind of like skip your way to the top. So becoming an assistant buyer at one point is also key. Me personally, I decided to go into the fashion industry my senior year of high school. I've always been very into fashion, but I never knew how I could make a career or living out of it, like my way with things that I was interested in. So senior year, when I finally decided like, okay, fashion industry, I discovered this job like immediately after. And I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. This is kind of amazing. I don't know. But I have been very into fashion, specifically high school. And I feel like that's really when a lot of people start to get more into things that will lead to careers. I've been thrifting since I was a freshman, and also I even learned how to crochet. So there's also that. And I'm in the process of learning how to sew. It's been a long process, but it'll happen. I'll get there. But yeah, to me, this job, it seems like it can be a little bit overwhelming at times, like just because it is really such an important job in the fashion industry, specifically like, in retail. And there's always like a lot weighing on your shoulders. Like after doing more in-depth research and learning even more about this position, I was kind of blown away by how much they really do and how much weight that they're constantly carrying. But what I find a little comfort in is as I go on throughout my life and my career, the things that I will experience, the things I like literally have to experience to get this job will prepare me and set me up just right to do this job exactly how I need to. Thank you so much for watching and listening to me talk about being a fashion buyer. Until next time.